Okay, so a couple of questions that came through here. You want me to start teeing them up there, Mike?
Yeah, that sounds great, Jim. Thanks.
Okay. So we got a question. Let's start off with this one. Is EDI only for large companies?
Anybody want to take? Go ahead.
Yeah,
Phil.
I mean, I'll take that one. I would say it's for all companies. I mean, I know, we started using EDI back in the mid '80s, and we were substantially smaller than we are today. And I think this is for every organization. It just really depends on, again, the pain of handling those transactions manually versus, automating them. So if you want to take errors and inefficiencies out of the channel for the partner as well as for your own company, then I think if you do the math, you'll see EDI is very beneficial.
Phil, I know that. Oh, why don't you go ahead, Tom? Yep.
I was going to say, do you think that your adopting EDI so early on helped Elliott grow to the size and number of branches that you have today?
Absolutely. It definitely helped us keep our expenses down, and it also helped us justify to our trading partners that we were able to transmit, transactions with fewer errors. And if we had errors, that we were able to address those, whether it was on their side or our side. And that way, future transactions were error-free. So absolutely, it's one thing for a small company to try to keep expenses down, but the other thing is to show your trading partners that you can transact POs, invoices, or whatever, and help them keep their expenses low as well. So it helps everybody in the channel, as I've always said, reduce friction. And I think using EDI is one tool for reducing friction in the channel.
Phil, I was curious. I know with Elliott, a lot of the growth, big branch expansion program over the past couple of years. When you do open up new branches, do you have an EDI training program for the new employees, or do you have a EDI czar, so to speak, that gets the new location ready to go, or what? Is it something you might be able to share with us?
For us, the EDI is really handled behind the scenes. So we can add new locations, and in our system, the ERP system, when they want to send a purchase order, when they send it, we just have the opportunity by default to send it electronically. So to, all the users, they don't have to understand the inner workings of EDI, what it is and how it gets there. It's handled for them automatically. So, most users nowadays understand how email works, and they understand that EDI is even more efficient and secure than the average email. So that it's an automated process, and we insulate that, the details, so to speak, from the users.
All righty. How about for companies that are on the fence about EDI, and what quick wins or advantages would you highlight to demonstrate this value? That's a question for the general panel here.
Scott, I think you're on mute if you can hear me. In the bottom right, there's a button.
My apologies. It hit on me a little bit. So yeah, I'll take that. I think on the fence about EDI is probably a tough one, because it's like motherhood and apple pie. It's all good. It's efficiency and it's productivity and it's value. I think the challenge is, do you have the scope and the bandwidth to, and this sometimes comes to the smaller companies, to institute and work on the IT processes that put it in place. I think the beauty of the industry, whether it's IDEA or the manufacturers, is there's resources out there to help you integrate and engage and support and learn and develop and do more EDI. And the benefit, I hopefully we displayed enough in the last 45 minutes of efficiency and moving to value add services is clear. So it's just a matter of being able to do it more and broader, I think.
Yeah, I'll add to that real quick, because I think you hit the nail on the head. For a small company, sometimes you don't have the resources or the technical resources to handle EDI. But IDEA obviously has a managed services option which can, supplement that and allows you to, offload that, outsource it, so to speak. And that way you can continue running the business, but they assist you with the technical details to get EDI working behind the scenes. So it's a win-win.
We've got a question that came in from Nate Plant with LAPP. That says, I'm curious from both a supplier and a distributor standpoint, what are best practices for implementing EDI for wiring cable products or other products that are or could be ordered in different non-standard lengths?
For us, most of our wire purchases for stock is in standard reel lengths, and for the manufacturers we support, we have their item numbers and UPC numbers loaded on the system. So when you select a supplier, those numbers are used for the inventory that you're wanting to order. And when the PO is sent out, we send, basically we have our part number, their part number, and the UPC number that's assigned to their products. So that's typically how we do it. For custom cuts, the EDI does support being able to send items without UPC codes in a way. We've had workarounds with that in the past, but sometimes those are better handled offline. But I would say the average item for pipe and wire, we haven't had a problem sending those via EDI.
Well, we're getting quite a good selection of questions coming in. See? This is from Jose Romero from the manufacturer Orbit Industries. And Jose asks, this is the first time I'm hearing about a modern EDI. What are those modern standards? I'm assuming he means was there some new standards on EDI that maybe our listeners today should know something about?
I'll take that one. And essentially what we're looking at is just the progression and the growth of your normal EDI, your X12. You went with XML for other various reasons, and you're now doing APIs. But it's just how you're using your EDI transactions. In the past, you would have had maybe 3 or 4 transactions that everybody did, but there's 900 in the X12 book. So now people are looking at those other 900, and they're starting to implement them and finding that they're getting additional efficiencies and value by automating some processes that they may have thought that they could not automate in the past.
Yeah, I would agree with that. To add a little extra to that, when you started off, most distributors thought, oh, okay, we have a PO and an invoice. And, every manufacturer and every partner that you dealt with was different. And to a certain point, IDEA came out with the standards and they said, oh, okay, well, how about we come up with a standard that works for the electrical industry? And that's where the EDI Pro came from. And that was the next step, huge step for doing EDI transactions. Well, today, really we're at the stepping point of needing that next step, which is, the modernize is not only existing transactions, but enhancing those. So, for example, we do a lot with SPAs, but there's extra things that manufacturers need and distributors need to cut out the potential errors to handle processing and loading them correctly. And the same thing for invoices, point of sale, point of transfer. Those are all additional transactions, but they need additional information. So as technology changed, as business changed, we really need to make sure we keep the standards updating, modernize it, so to speak. And absolutely, we need to continue to add new documents.
Got a question here from Miles Bojanek from Aero USA. Says, how important is EDI for new suppliers, possibly smaller suppliers, or maybe suppliers that are new to the electrical channel?
I'll take this one real quick, but as a distributor, if you want to reduce friction, you want to use EDI. It's nothing worse than for a distributor to deal with hundreds or thousands of paper or PDF emails and we have services that can deal with those. But for us, we're looking for partners to help cut costs. We want to make our manufacturer partner profitable, and we need to be profitable. To do that, you have to cut costs out of the channel. If you're not using EDI and you're requiring your team and your distributor partner teams to do things manually or deal with errors and exceptions, that's cutting into your profits. So I can't see why you wouldn't use EDI or APIs or anything else to help automate transactions up and down the supply chain.
Yeah, I'll support that from a manufacturer's perspective. Is there's a customer experience angle on this, right? And I think you just heard it. You're going to be providing a better customer experience to your channel partners when you have an easier digital transaction set and a more efficient set. So that's pretty valuable customer experience, and it's something that probably would be a benefit for any manufacturer, large, small, or startup.
Yeah.
Yeah, and from a supplier perspective, I mean, we have EDI fully integrated into the whole supply chain, from, procurement of the materials for manufacturing to the transportation messages with the carrier, real-time milestone statuses, all the way to receiving the purchase order from a customer to, invoicing and then remitting from the bank. So the whole supply chain from beginning to end is fully integrated with EDI. It's an integral part of our processing. So, I mean, I think the whole thing would come to a halt if anything, if we shut down the EDI processing. So with efficiency and error reduction and cost reduction, all that's, we see the benefits with that.
There's a question for Scott, and I think Ann too, possibly. It's one from Rock Kuchermeister from KE Electric Supply Corp. And he asks, when you take on a new perhaps acquire a new company, when can you anticipate EDI to begin with those divisions? How long? I guess basically, how long does it take that you can get a company up and running on EDI, have a new division, new product line, so to speak?
Yeah, I'll go first, and then as you know, Legrand makes plenty of acquisitions, and I hate when somebody asks a question and the answer is always depends. But there is an impact of our own internal IT organizations. When we make acquisitions, they come with normally their own ERP systems, and how those ERP systems are supported, depending on the acquisition, they could already be all set with EDI transactions, or maybe we need to work on them and develop them. But the timeline isn't long, and it's our job as a manufacturer to find a way to communicate to our customer base and let you know when we're ready. Currently for Legrand, I can tell you that in the electrical division, the big brands that we offer, we're following all the EDI transaction sets and have capabilities to help any customers to get engaged and support them. So.
I mean, it's similar for Siemens. It depends on how quickly the new acquisition is integrated into our SAP system, and sometimes we acquire companies that already have EDI enabled, but generally it depends on how quickly they integrate into our SAP.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of SAP, we've got a question from Gary Patterson, Powerline Supply / the Oaknight Company. It says, I have SAP customers that are concerned about security and are very resistant to ASNs. How have you overcome this?
We transmit through our value-added network, and that's pretty secure. As far as the transmission, the security, is that what the concern is?
I don't know. Let's just kind of read this straight. Yeah.
I think whether one is if you go through a van, that will take care of the security concern. But a lot of EDI is transacted with the AS2 connections. So you can do AS2 connections direct to your trading partner, and that connectivity has security built into it. So, that's the nice thing about EDI and the tools that you use to transmit and receive. They already have a lot of security built into place.
And I think we talked about that earlier. It's good that our customers are concerned about security, cybersecurity especially, and there are protocols like bans and other solutions in place that will protect the manufacturer and the channel partner. That is probably, I can speak for Legrand and I'm sure the other manufacturers and distributor partners. It's one of the biggest concerns is cybersecurity, because that is a risk that none of us want to have to be challenged with.
I think we have time for one more question in the live, and I'm sure any of you folks that have answered a question that we don't get to in the live version, we will be able to get to. And I found this one to be interesting, so I'm going to give it a shot. And this is from Kevin Nicholas, Lone Star Electric Supply. He says, do you see integration partners like Remarkable and Kojo playing a bigger role into the ease of EDI adoption from a usability and functionality standpoint?
Yes. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. And we're already, working with Kojo and Remarkable and all the others. So it varies. Some are hybrid with EDI and API. Some are API only. It really just depends on the package that the customers are using and what they would like to do. We have some customers, for example, that require punch out. So, I mean, EDI is just another tool, but for your heavy hitter, if you have a lot of data you're dealing with and dealing with your block and tackle type of transactions, I think it's the way to go. But depending on the customer and the package, some are using it, some are using a combination of that and other tools.
Great. I think that's about all the time we have for questions today. Unfortunately, we do have a few more, and we will get to them. I want to thank our panel today for being on. I want to thank the many, many people that came on to listen to the webinar today. So thanks, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.